In my last video, I talked about maybe we've got the holiday of Thanksgiving backwards, because on the holiday of Thanksgiving, our tendency is to give thanks, which is a very important practice. It's a practice of recognizing all that we've been given, all the blessings, all the resources that we have, in a sense, recognizing the abundance in our lives. But in that video, I talked about, but what if we literally took the name of Thanksgiving literally, and that the real Thanksgiving is when we thank you for all that we've been given, and then in recognition of what we've been given, we give thanksgiving. Well, this week is when there is a lot of focus on the giving part of Thanksgiving. Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. So I want to talk a little bit about giving in a little bit of a different way. Oftentimes we think that giving is to benefit the person, the organization we're giving to. And it is, it truly is. But we rarely recognize what the practice of giving gives us. A couple of thoughts on this. First of all, to give something to another person, you have to first recognize you have something to give. And that's where our perpetual focus on scarcity and not enough, the archetype of scarcity, oftentimes has us not see that. We only see that we don't have enough for us, enough to give. So the practice of giving allows us to shift our focus from what we don't have or what we perceive as we don't have enough of to what we do have and can give. Okay, so that's the first important thing to know about giving, how giving actually allows us in that moment to recognize and experience abundance in our own lives and within ourselves. Because sometimes what we give can be tangible like money, but sometimes what we give is our wisdom or our talents or our presence or our time or our energy or our faith or an inspired idea that can make a difference for somebody else. That's all part of our own experience of abundance, which leads to the second reason why giving is so powerful for us. Because when we're living in a world that's been built on the archetype of scarcity, consciously or subconsciously, we have a tendency to see everything through that filter, that lens of not enough, including ourselves. And because we have this filter of not enough, including ourselves, we have a tendency to shrink, to disconnect, to pull away, to focus only on us and our getting what we need and want. And that disconnects us from the truth that we're part of something bigger than us and our individual perceptions and our individual efforts. Well, giving is one action that connects us to something bigger than us. It gets us out of thinking of our own little world and expands our vision to see, I have this and I can give this, there's connection. And in that experience, suddenly, instead of not being enough, we start to experience ourselves as abundant, as abundance, but also we get to have the experience of contributing and supporting somebody else, which inherently has us start to realize that in large or small ways, we matter, we make a difference. And that's really healing to those conscious and subconscious beliefs we have of we're not enough, we don't matter, we're not important, whatever we do, it's not enough. Another great reason for giving, besides the impact it can have on others, is Giving is scientifically, studies continue to show that giving, when we give to someone else, it's one of the best practices to experience joy in our lives. I'm thinking of a friend of mine recently who's a first-time grandma. And I saw her recently, and she, of course, had a bunch of pictures of the new grandbaby on her phone. And she just looks at them, and you just see her joy. And then she shows them to me, shares them with me, and her joy just grows exponentially. Giving is another way we can start to experience joy. Giving isn't about those of us who have giving to those who have not. That's not what it's about. All of us have different gifts and resources. Some of us have more financial, material resources to give than others. But let me tell you, any organization, any person we give to, if we're only open to it, they have gifts to give back to us, including the opportunity to start to see more clearly what we have. And instead of holding on to it because we're afraid we won't have enough, we can start to open our hands, open our billfolds, open our bank accounts, and open our hearts and give it to someone else. So that leads to one more little comment on giving. I'm all for, I get having automatic donations. I have a few of those myself. Like it's just automatically deducted from your bank account to support this organization or this organization. And I get that ongoing installment payment helps the organizations because they can know what's coming in, right? But it removes us from the experience of giving because it's automatic. It's no longer conscious. It's no longer connected to our hearts wanting to give. It's no longer a conscious, wow, I have this, let me choose to give this. In many respects, it starts to just become another bill, another payment. And that's not giving, my friends. So I'm not saying go cancel all your automatic ones. I'm inviting you instead to find ways to be present in the action, in the movement that is giving, to be present and aware of, I have this to give, thanks, and I'm giving this here. And I'm in the process experiencing abundance, experiencing myself as mattering, if that's a word, as making a difference. I get to experience the joy of having something to give and giving it. I'm connected to the something bigger that I'm part of. I'm being a conduit of abundance and life-giving resources in the world. And my friends, whenever you're that's a really rich, empowering experience. And as best I can tell, unless whenever those automatic deductions hit your bank account and you stop and go, yes, I could give that to this organization. I'm so excited that I can give that to this organization. This organization is important to me. I'm glad I can be a conduit to support them, to then give thanks and give on to others. Because conscious giving, well, let's put it this way. There's no real giving unless we're present to it and conscious of it. So this week of Giving Tuesday, I invite you, how can you use the practice of giving to connect you with your own abundance, to connect you with something bigger than you, to know that you make a difference and you matter, and to experience some joy just because you can give.